Welcome to Egg Foo What, the first and only podcast about people eating stuff. I'm Mike Lisk.
Hello, everybody. Welcome once again to another episode of Egg Foo. Mike, I believe we have a special guest again this week. Our special guest again is the same guest again, but again, we have a special guest.
Yeah.
I fucked that up. This is why we got to rehearse, Mike.
What was it with that hand gesture, too? You're working in hand gestures when you introduce yourself? Yeah.
Did I?
Yeah, there was a little hand gesture at the end.
What?
We're here today with Will Croxton. Now, Will is a musician. I don't know if you want me to tell anything about your other activities, but you can do that on your own.
The state is on the
activities. I guess we could spend all night on that.
But if it wasn't for Will, I never would have met Greg.
That's true.
There would have never been an Egg Foo What.
That is, I was not expecting that. I got to be honest, that bomb hit me pretty hard right now. I'm going to need a second.
So maybe Bono's onto something. I read a little quote from Bono last week.
Oh, God.
If you're where you should be, you'll meet whom you need to meet. So maybe being in the same office with Will back in the day, this is many years ago, we're going back to the 90s.
Woo. The
good old 90s. And me and Will were put on a team. This was new. And I'd worked in corporate America for a while, but now I come to this new office.
The best office ever.
And we'll get into it. We're working together. Will was lumped in with us. You were working there before we got there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we literally moved as a full team, except Will. Will was the one outsider who joined our team from another office, which was literally across the street. And so Will was the new guy, and he was.
You were the guys from Stanford.
What's that?
In NBC terminology, you would be the guys from Stanford.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The Office, which I knew nothing about until recently. So I can get Office references
which
now.
Is incredible. Have you caught up to the dinner party yet?
Oh, no, I've seen all the Office now.
Oh, you did?
I'm literally, if I see like an episode that I liked, I'll watch it for the second time.
Will said he can write a spec script about Egg Foo What in the Office. So
okay.
We'll be expecting that soon.
So our team moved over to Will's office. He joined our team, and it was quite a team, wouldn't you say?
Yes, very much so. One of our team members was a former stripper who slept with Billy Idol not once but twice.
Oh yeah.
One was about 900 years old.
Wait a minute. Beep, 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 beep. So I never heard this. Is this woman who slept with Billy Idol the one woman I know from your office I'm thinking of?
No.
Okay.
Actually, you surprised me with that because I didn't remember her coming over with us, but was she there very long or just briefly? I know who you're talking about because I'd heard the story, of course, as well.
I can't recall, and it was funny too because she was a very nice person, but supremely untalented.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Single?
Yeah.
She wore very short skirts, as I remember.
What do you mean supremely untalented?
To the office.
A legal office? Like how
she was doing.
I mean untalented. But she wasn't passing those reports around quick enough.
I guess Billy Idol was her former boss at where Mike came from.
I think she still had some of her outfits from the stripping days. And
she did have a great coming to New York story, though.
Oh, yeah.
She went to New York to go to Pratt, I believe, and came with like, $600 in her hand and happened on one of those shell games and got cleaned out within the first half hour she was in New York.
Wow. Okay. There you go.
But I guess she had the tools to succeed to raise some money.
Okay.
Quickly.
My favorite team member was a woman who would roll into the office usually between 3:30 in the afternoon. So if I needed to ask her a question about some books of hers, I just have to work around her schedule, which, she claimed that she put in all the hours during the week, but I would only see her for about an hour and a half, 2 hours tops.
Oh, that flex time where you
Yeah, I
could just
remember the flex time. Yeah.
Flex time, boy, back then that was something. That was very revolutionary.
Well, that office, well, I perceived Greg started hanging out there, right?
I was the mayor.
The
I
mayor.
worked around the corner. Yeah. About a year after I'd moved and met you guys, yeah, I got a job working literally right around the corner. And for some reason, my office stopped at 4. Stopped, like we were nailing railroad tile at 4. So I would just mosey over to West Group and just hang out, and very entertaining next to a certain, I'll say his name because he's not like Ricky Hustle.
Ricky Hustle, yeah.
I usually hung out within listening distance of him for my entertainment. So I'd go there every day. It was fantastic because that was the Wild West of corporate America. There was no bosses. Nobody did any actual work or knew what they were supposed to do.
I was just going to get into
favorite
that.
is how that self-immolation of y'all's.
I was just going to get into that. I was finally making some decent money. I had worked at
here comes the bragging.
No. And by decent, I mean like barely able to support myself. But it was better. It was better than what I was making at Simon and Schuster, a big name place.
Burn Simon and Schuster. Ouch.
And I was there 8 years. That was like one of the biggest regrets of my working days, was that I stayed too long there.
At Simon and Schuster?
I mean, I don't encourage anybody to get into publishing now, but nobody told me that you got to bounce in the early days. That's the only way you're going to get higher salaries, and people did that. And I was the stupid one who stayed at a job that I should have worked for about a year, 2 years, and went on to the next one. But I was there 8 years. But then finally I got into law publishing, and it paid better.
Finally got into law publishing.
Well, yeah, no, it wasn't a goal. It was just
I'm going to talk to your Uncle Mike. He finally made it.
Opportunities opened up, and and I found that law publishing paid better. And not only that, when I started working at West Group, I did notice that not only was it an easy gig, as just like, I mean, my workload was actually lessened when I moved to the new office, so I had less books to work on, and this was when the internet was just popping up, and people were literally playing Doom, right? I mean, would you say like half the staff was playing Doom? And you could walk in the hallways amongst the cubicles, and you could just see everybody's playing Doom.
Gave us a year. They told us we were being laid off, and they gave us a year.
Mhm.
I think it was a year. And I seem to be the only person not playing Doom. I was busy.
Yeah.
A year. Were y'all in France? I mean, very gracious.
Yeah, actually, I actually jumped pretty early when we got the notice that they were closing. But here's the thing, I mean, I don't know the exact reason they closed the office. Maybe somebody finally got wind that we weren't doing a whole lot of work.
Well, I thought the story was that questionnaire y'all filled out.
Well, yeah, I think
Will knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, I was just going to get to that part. I think basically everybody had not everybody. I mean, Will, yeah, you're working. You were in a different department, so I didn't really quite know what your workload was like. But I think everybody else was pretty relaxed as far as workloads go, and yet they still complained. That's the thing. It was the constant complaints. And I remember, they even brought in like some sort of facilitator to help us out of our dysfunction. I mean, it was weird, you know? Yeah. Yeah, you remember that, right?
Yeah, and it was crazy because it was like we can work whenever we want to. By that time, I had amassed ridiculous vacation times.
Hmm.
It was crazy. But I remember, everyone was jumping up and down. They were so happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I walked out with like a good severance pay, and
Mhm.
I had a job for like a month or two, and then over the course of the next like 2 years, the publishing industry and the music industry, the bottom completely fell out of both of them.
All right. Yeah. Yeah.
Any income to be derived from either one was
Uh-huh.
instantly. So I had a fun next decade.
Yeah.
Yikes! I was there.
But
I remember.
Greg was there to observe it all. I mean, you picked up the vibe that it was a pretty relaxed environment. You mentioned Ricky Hustle. When you mention Ricky Hustle, I see him wearing that
Herb dog.
that Nets t-shirt. I think he wore that Nets t-shirt almost every day of the week, right? I mean, it was becoming translucent. It was just, I mean, you got to change the shirt up once in a while. But he was an interesting character. I mean, there were lots of fun people there, almost too fun. I think, if I continued at that office much longer, I don't know if I would be alive today, because there was a hard charging after work drinking crowd, and we had some fun.
I wasn't a part of that. I don't remember that.
No, that's where I met you. That's where I put two and two together. Oh, this guy that
Yeah.
hangs out at the office all the time, he doesn't work there. I thought he worked there.
I should have just started ordering everybody around. I heard you people don't do fucking work. I'm here to clean up this mess.
You were like pulling a
I've been
Michael.
sent here from corporate.
You were
Mitch and Murray.
You pulled a Michael Richards routine there.
What?
Remember the Seinfeld episode when he doesn't have the job and
Well, yeah. Anybody else would have said Kramer.
okay.
When you say pull a Michael Richards, that insinuates I'm walking around the office yelling the N-word, which I can promise you didn't happen.
No, Kramer, his character, yes, for those who need help. But yeah, it was an interesting experience, and we would go to the White Horse Tavern. The famous White Horse Tavern was one of our stops.
And the place with all you can drink for $10 on Thursday nights. Was that the Antarctica?
Yeah, I was just gonna say Antarctica.
Oh God.
Are any of these places? It's all coming back to Will. So some bad nights.
After one night being there and watching a guy leaning back on a bench, and he had a raincoat draped over him, and I couldn't figure out what was going on until finally I saw the raincoat was moving and realized that there was a woman underneath of it.
Oh wow. Okay.
New York City.
I didn't.
Yeah, it was the 90s.
I didn't see that. And this was relatively early at night, right? I mean, we're talking about
Helping Greg find his $20 that he lost on the way.
Yeah. Sorry, damn it.
uh-huh. Now my memory of Antarctica was some guy getting a flaming shot and not having a very steady hand. Next thing you know, he's on fire and people are trying to put him out. So yeah, anything could happen at that place, and did. The White Horse was another story. I mean, we racked up some pretty incredible tabs there. We had like I said, it was a pretty hard charging group, and I'd have to get back to Bayonne. I'd have to get a train, I'd have to get a bus. Sometimes I it's like, how did I get back? It was quite an adventure. And then Ricky Hustle, didn't he have a fight one time with one of our friends?
He did. It almost escalated into a fight. It was a little standoff with no one intervened.
I thought the table went over. I thought a table went over.
I remember. No, I was just sitting there and I was like, okay.
I was trying to rack my brain because it was a classic stupid nonsense. I mean, most bar battles are stupid, but that one in particular I thought was really bad, and I was trying to remember what it was, but it's
Oh, this was at
lost.
the bar?
Yeah, it was. We
Oh,
were
I
at a
thought you
bar.
meant in the office, because one of my favorite memories is hanging out. I think he sat near Will, and I was hanging out at Will's Cube, and Ricky Hustle's on the phone screaming at somebody, "Get your boss on the phone." And who is your boss? Saddam Hussein? I was like, wow, this is the best place.
Uh-huh. Yeah, he was I didn't work with him directly, but yeah, Will was in close proximity to him, so that must have been exciting.
And you guys should tell why he earned his name.
I don't know why he did.
Come on, Ricky.
I don't have the origin story there.
Oak gave him that name, right? It was Ricky Hustle.
He was a dead ringer for Pete Rose.
Oh, okay. Well, really? Okay.
Sounds like he had the anger issues.
He had the anger, he had the hair. It was never knew what was going to happen when you were next to him.
And based on my interactions with him, he may have been taking steroids like other baseball players. But yeah, I wonder. I would pay money to see what AC is up to these days, though. It may be even more so than Ricky Hustle.
Yeah, he was an interesting character. He was, what I remember him about was that he was a guy who worked there, and I guess he didn't need to cash his checks.
I remember that he had a stack of them up in his office.
Apparently, his checks would just accumulate in his office. Money was meaningless to him.
I look back now, I'm like, how did he get hired?
Yeah,
Ricky Hustle, he's survived. He's probably okay. He's like a cockroach. No one's getting rid of Ricky Hustle. But AC, you feel like, how did he get through the day? How did anything happen with that guy?
Yeah, I don't know what he did there, actually, myself. He was out of my realm. But
I was no idea what he did.
Nobody had. No, okay, so nobody knew what he did.
On that hallway, the previous to you guys getting there was like everyone who had a job with a very non-specific, a job. I don't know what.
They were just leftovers.
Where Sylvia was,
Mm-hmm.
Who went on to fame with Eastbound and Down.
Yeah. No, I remember her. I would see her on the PATH train occasionally, but that was about it. I don't think I ever spoke a word to her. But I did hear she was on Eastbound and Down.
Yes.
But
that was a moment when she showed up on there.
All right, enough memory lane, but we will say that if it wasn't for you and Will working together, this would not be happening.
Right, yeah. Now, let's dive into the Virginia history.
Well, I was going to say maybe Will can eat Will's got his food. Getting cold.
It's literally killing me right now.
Okay.
All right. So I want to bring up something while I have both of you here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
You're billing this podcast as a show about, or a podcast about people eating stuff. You never eat anything on here. One of you generally doesn't even eat what the others are eating. So I thought it was about time to actually make this podcast about people eating stuff.
Okay.
I had some problems because I haven't ordered Chinese food in maybe a decade.
Oh, look who's too good for Chinese. Oh, things are good.
Not my number one, but and all of a sudden I realized there's no Chinese restaurants in my neighborhood anymore. They're all gone.
Wow, that's kind of amazing to me.
New York, like bulletproof, glass places. They're all literally gone. You have to go to seedy neighborhoods to get them.
Wow.
I just realized that and Greg, you've probably been here before, Golden China, that was right from my first apartment in New York. All of a sudden today, I was like, I bet that's still there, and it is.
Okay.
So I went there, and
what street was that?
It's off of Havemeyer and Metropolitan.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like literally the same signage that was there when I was there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it has not changed at all. It's cash only, which is historic.
Yeah.
And I ordered egg foo young.
Which all right.
What'd you get? Did you get pork? I should have told you to get pork.
Well, this is a funny thing. I thought egg foo young was just egg foo young, but then I remembered you guys did an episode where you talked about different kinds.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening. It's always nice to meet fans.
As a nod to Greg, I did not order the shrimp egg bouillon because that sounded uber disgusting.
Hmm.
Thank you.
I don't know what this looks like. I do remember seeing Greg eat it before, but
Oh, okay.
oh, and nice. Oh no, she did put utensils in here. Okay, so I got stuff. Okay, white rice. I have a very funny white rice story for you guys.
Setting expectations, Will. I don't know. That doesn't work well here.
Funny, but I think we might get some Kitchen Confidential hits as after tonight because I might be
He
your
died.
guest who has ever actually worked in the Chinese food industry.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Grad school, I was a waiter at a Chinese restaurant, and I observed some things that were shocking. Number one, you guys have brought up several times the fact that some Chinese food on the menu might be catered to Americans.
Yes.
I think all of it is.
Yeah. And I know this for a couple of reasons. One, I was friends with the guys who worked in the kitchen, who were two guys who had come from, I don't even know where they come from, but somewhere in China, and basically never left the restaurant. They were terrified to leave. I don't know if they were, legal, illegal, whatever. But
There we go.
broken English, and I would say, is this like the food you guys have there? And they would laugh. And they would often, when people ordered certain dishes, would run up to the door and look out the window and watch people eat it and just laugh their heads off.
Wait, hold on. Is this the place you said you and Keith, you'd order food, you'd convince the guy over the phone to grab a 6-pack?
No, that was the place I just ordered from.
Oh, okay.
No, I was working at this place in Virginia. So it was Harrisonburg, Virginia. So
sorry. Okay, I meant the one off Havemeyer.
Yes.
Okay.
So I worked in this Chinese restaurant. They didn't have, there were only 3 Chinese people in the town, the owner and the 2 cooks. So the wait staff was American. And it stayed in my mind for many reasons. The first of which is that Quan, the owner, fancied himself a savvy businessman. And one of the things that he would have us do when we brought dishes back from outside was if there was any rice that was untouched, we had to throw it back into the rice bin.
Ooh.
Smart.
Okay.
So rice costs money.
Yeah, I get it. Untouched.
Is he wrong?
No,
Well,
it's untouched.
Well, it was untouched, but
Uh-huh.
it was also a little unseemly.
Oh,
On Sundays, we used to have an all-you-can-eat buffet, which was literally everything fried. And it was one of the most revolting days that you had to work, because if you were a waiter there, you had to work on Sundays because it was the busiest day. Well, because it was a buffet, you weren't going to make any tips whatsoever. You were just literally taking away after plate after plate. And people would sit there for 3 and 4 hours, going back up repeatedly, waiting an hour, going back.
they're called heroes.
Yes. So anyway, brush with Chinese food. But so now what am I supposed to do with this? I've got this gook.
You gotta locate the gravy.
First, take a patty.
I like that word, gravy. This is some gelatinous.
Oh wow, okay. Actually, that looks like it's gonna meet Greg's standards.
That looks pretty good from here.
Yeah.
Stick your finger in it. Wait.
Stick your
I didn't
finger.
say smell it. How's the viscosity?
It's very soft.
Don't make the face. This might get sold to Warner Bros. All right.
Uh-huh.
So now I open up the pancake looking things.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's where because I got chicken.
Okay. Chicken's all right. Yeah, just put out a patty.
You
Okay.
been left out in the rain for a night.
All right. You don't need to be ugly. You don't need to be mean.
And then why do I have rice as well?
Yeah, I'm beginning to think the rice is kind of why do you need the rice? That's a good question.
I'll say this.
Just kidding.
I ate mine today, and for once I didn't have the rice.
Hold on,
And
let me
I
see.
feel so much better because egg foo young is almost pure protein,
Right.
so you don't feel as afterwards.
Okay.
The gravy, I don't know. Okay, Will is giving us a nice shot of.
Yeah, that's a nice shot.
Oh,
Wait,
Will.
hey, mess around here.
Oh, Will's wife. I'm so sorry.
Okay, so what do I do now?
Just
I
pour
would
it
go
over.
sparingly with the gravy.
No,
You just pour the whole thing on there?
Dump it. Keep it going. You're not going to save it anyway. You're not going to keep it.
According to Mike, this is a second day thing.
Well, it is really great the second day too. All right, he is trying. He's digging in, get a nice bit of that gravy.
I do see that they're using actual eggs.
Oh,
Okay.
It's nice and fluffy.
That's fluffy. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
All right.
Not bad. That's pretty good. Yeah. All right.
Wow.
Yeah. Did you get it?
It's not the worst thing I've ever eaten.
Oh, that's nice.
I've eaten some bad stuff.
Oh, we want to hear those stories. Are you getting enough gravy? I can't tell.
It's covered in gravy.
All right. All right. I don't need your attitude. I mean, I'm trying to be friendly. Trying to bring two great nations together. That's all. All right. I think now your niece and nephew both gave it thumbs up. So
Okay. And they are what, 8 and
oh, and
there goes the lid.
And what? Do you know? Don't worry, we'll edit that out.
All right.
They listen every week.
All right. So I will look forward to some white rice after the podcast is over.
So what's the verdict?
Are you done tasting?
Yeah.
You need a big bite. You did a little. Come on. I don't like the way this is going.
I don't want to sit here and eat on this thing. we've got stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
All right.
So what would you give it through 1 through 10?
Talk about it.
10?
He said 10.
Gentleman's 2.
Shut up.
Oh,
No, you're crazy.
It was soggy. It literally was like it had been out in the rain all night.
well, yeah, the condensation
Now,
probably
hold
got
on.
to it.
I should have thought of this.
Don't travel. McDonald's doesn't travel. No, those things don't travel well. I mean, perhaps if I was sitting right next to the thing, I'd give it a 4.
Next to what thing?
Where they were cooking it. I put it this way, I will absolutely positively never order this again in my lifetime.
Wow. All right, now I'm going to have to intervene.
China line 1. Wow.
All right, now I'm going to lift your spirits, Greg.
Remarkably, this brown stuff that you guys refer to as gravy, it's almost McDonald's like in that it tastes remarkably like every other Chinese food. Like that sauce, like whatever they put, I guess it's MSG.
That's what Greg refers to as goop.
Goop.
No, that's not goop. Goop is other crap they put on.
Yeah, but I'm saying I don't think Will is correct here. I think goop is different than from what I saw that gravy.
Right. He's got nice gravy.
His gravy looked pretty good. I mean, it's a lighter color.
I live in William.
The goop usually has the dark color, which is, I think, what I may have gotten. Which I'll say this, Greg. I ordered egg foo young from a different place today. I'm going to try my backup place, and it was very good. I'll say that. But the gravy you wouldn't approve. It was a dark brown gravy, thick. No, thick. It was thick though, Greg.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, it was thick. So I think it was borderline for you, but the gravy was good. The patties were fluffy.
Mine today were too. Yeah,
very
something
fluffy.
in the air.
Like I'm looking at it, it's like I don't remember like seeing like egg whites the first time I had it. I got the house special last time. I got the roast pork egg foo young this time. And it was very good. I'll have to say that. I almost ate the full thing. I was enjoying it so much. But then I was like, save one for tomorrow because, the next day it's good.
That's the one problem is it's like pizza. I was thinking today, the problem is they give you 3 patties, whereas 2 is just, you're really full after 2. If you go for that third one, you're fucked. You're sleeping for the next 6 hours. I just wish they wouldn't even. It's like when you had the 2 slices, second slice of pizza, and you shouldn't go for the third, but you can't help it.
Yeah. You ate all 3
I'm
patties?
glad yours was good.
You ate all 3 patties?
Today? No. I think it did like 1.5.
I have a feeling that if I threw these back on a frying pan, they might be a little more edible.
Oh, look who's doing a little backtracking now. Okay.
No,
No, I think Will had a condensation. I mean, it was sitting there in that bag for a while, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Now you got to get at it because the condensation is real. Mine had a little condensation after my short drive, not a very far drive, but it didn't make them soggy. They were still good. They were very tasty. I'll say that. Greg's making me a convert. I know which place to go to now for the egg foo young down here.
There you go.
Yeah.
But Will, I assume you coming from same town as I did. I assume Joy Garden was your first Chinese experience.
That was the entryway. That was it was that was a special occasion place.
Mm-hmm.
It was the only one in town, or only one near town, which was about an hour away. But yeah, it was like the go-to. And I mentioned to you guys earlier in the week when we were speculating about foods, the fried wonton. That was like the most exotic thing ever. It wasn't always on the menu there, but when it was like, a special boat had come over from China.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay.
Always disappointing fried wonton.
Well, actually, it's funny. I can't remember for the life of me what I used to eat back then there. I don't remember. I know mugu gai pan was like a big thing, but I looked at the ingredients on that, and that looks not very appetizing.
Yeah, that wasn't so great.
Do you remember? Did you guys ever have the La Choy things growing up?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Greg has spoken at length about La Choy.
Lubriously about it. I loved La Choy back in the day.
Apparently, they just celebrated, what was it, 100 years or something?
100 years, that's right.
Yeah.
Forgot about that. We were going to do something special.
I
Oh, we did.
Greg, I don't know if you remember this, but Gina's grandfather used to talk about being in the service and being in Times Square and having chop suey, and saying it was the greatest thing like ever.
Yeah.
But
I think even chow mein was a popular dish at one time. But
I wanted to bring this up. So I have a friend who's a chef that owns a couple of restaurants in my neighborhood, and he's Italian, and was telling me we got into a discussion that somehow morphed into Chinese food one day, and he was telling me about Chinese food in Italy, how everything there is catered towards the Italians. There's pasta. Tomatoes are part of the deal. So I think just from the country, it just changes for whatever the population.
Well, that sounds interesting. I mean, I like Italian food.
Yeah.
But would I have to find somebody in Italy to ship it to me? I mean, yeah, it could be costly.
Yeah, there might be a lot of condensation after that long delivery time. Would hate for that to happen.
So did your dish satisfy today, Greg?
Mine was great.
I mean, did you try a different place? I mean, did the gravy meet your standards?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
The patties were fluffy. Sometimes they're not super fluffy. The gravy was perfect, and just in case, I got my little side order of McNuggets, and these Chinese people are batting 1,000 when it comes to chicken tenders. They were delightful.
It's delightful. I got
mine was great. Just standard, great egg foo young. No better than the best I've had, but no worse than the best I've had. Just perfect. What I want.
Mm-hmm. Now take us back to you two meeting. Now I don't even think I know the origin stories of how you grew up together. I believe, Greg, you went to school with Will's brother. Is that how you came into orbit?
Yeah, I grew up. I was best friends with his brother when we were kids. Well, or teenagers in high school. Or that.
A young buck, as you like to refer to yourself.
I was a young buck prancing through the woods into adulthood. And Will by then had already been, he had already done college, and he was a grown up in DC, and he had been in a great band we loved, and so we thought he was the coolest thing on the planet. Which I kept going up until about 4 minutes ago when he gave me his egg foo young report. So, all that goodwill gone after 30, 40 years. So So I actually, well, I was friends with his brother.
Right.
And that's how I met him. So.
I didn't realize there was.
Well, Will's getting emotional thinking about me. We'll give him a second.
So Will would know. Well, no, he's. I thought. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to speculate about. Yeah, I thought you were closer in age, but that's. So he was actually in college when you first met him.
I think he was out of college. I think he's after
He's out of college. Yeah.
Yeah, you were already in DC. Well.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
But before you moved to New York, yeah. So yeah, he was already out in the world doing cool shit, and I don't want to give him too much credit, but yes, he is the reason that I listened to great music when I was young, because he would send Ryan all these cool tapes to put together. The Ramones, Replacements, probably REM, every cool band I knew in high school is directly because of Will.
Mm-hmm. The older brother.
I said it.
But classic older brother giving the younger brother the music.
It wasn't even hard for me to say. It's an honor. I thank you. You shit all over my beloved Egg Foo Young, and then I come back kissing your tuchus. Right.
Now, what were your first impressions, Will? I mean, this is your younger brother's friend, which could be, awkward at times.
Awkward. Ex-boyfriend.
He was funny, so it was a good addition to the vibe. Yeah, he was very funny, and he had an abnormal love of the Ramones, which.
Now we've gotten into many disputes, usually at the Turkey's Nest in Williamsburg, musical disputes.
That doesn't sound like us.
And the classic one was Beatles versus the Rolling Stones. I remember we that was a regular one, and Greg kept thinking he could convince us, but I don't think he ever did he?
I don't know if I ever thought I would change anybody's mind. I just like pointing out that you guys were idiots. but at least Will, still kissing the tuchus, would take my side in that the Kinks. Put the Kinks above. I say put them above the Stones. I don't know if he would do that, but at least he would argue with me on loving the Kinks as opposed to just strictly Beatles Stones.
I would put the Kinks above both of them. So
really, okay,
all right.
All right, but I mean, you're talking about three heavyweight bands. Right. There's I do like, it's a fun argument to have, but you're dealing with rarefied air there.
Mm-hmm.
Had the chips fallen a different way for the Kinks, they would have, had much more of an imprint.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you think they were too regional? Is that? I mean, that's the standard explanation. Is that that American audiences couldn't get all their references? It was too British for Americans.
No, because I'm going to give some credit to Andrew Hickey on his awesome podcast, 500 Songs. What is it called? 500 Songs that
to live by or something. He hasn't put one out in a couple weeks.
Anyway, in his Kinks episode, he made a point that the Kinks were riding pretty high before they got banned in the U.S., and that essentially stopped them from the massiveness that they would have had, and actually forced them more to become more British as they just kind of stayed in Europe for I think 3 or 4 years. Were out of the game as an American, and kind of had to reinvent themselves when they came back.
Excuse my Kinks ignorance. I didn't know they got banned. What did they get banned for?
God, Michael.
Sorry, yeah, I'm not
Michael.
I'm not a super fan. No, I
Well, that's the thing. Like,
what did they get banned for?
I've read books and seen Ray Davies asked himself, and it's never 100% clear. It's always a vague. Well, we got in a fight with the union guys, or we got in a fight on stage and they banned us. So it was like a showbiz ban.
Exactly, because the way it used to work, and it might still work this way. If a British band was coming to America, an American band had to go to Britain. It was an even exchange. So you can deny acts pretty easily if you're working in that sector of the government.
Mm-hmm.
They pissed off the wrong person. I didn't realize it, but Ray is apparently pretty much a dick. He's very hard to work with. And I think that, was part of it. There was a self-sabotage in the band where, Dave and Mick Avery hated each other. There was just a lot to deal with.
Oh, okay.
But it's interesting how they reinvented themselves, 2 or 3 different times.
But he also, but it's also, he was naturally inclined to write about small things like he wrote about anyway. I don't think he started writing about, the small things of Britannia until then, but to your point, it did make him really focus more on it, I guess. I will say my only complaint about Ray, I call him Ray, is I will say, and you're more sensitive, Will, about these things than I am. I usually don't like to get too worked up about this unless the production on an album is really, really great or really, really bad. I'm always like, all right. I do feel like a lot of his production work is a little flimsy throughout, especially the earlier records.
Yeah, well, I mean, Shel Talmy would famously say, "Hey, we're recording a demo today," and they'd record it, and then they'd hear it on the radio 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
They were trying to rush stuff out as quickly as possible, which at the time, makes sense because you didn't think these bands were going to stick around.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny. I heard a version of "You Really Got Me" the other day by, oh man, it was an it was rushed out. Man, who was it? It was just funny. Like something would hit in Britain, and if a like an indie label in America could get a version of it on the radio here before it got over here.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah.
And that would compete within.
If you haven't heard that podcast, it's extraordinary. It's so good.
Yeah, give me the name again.
Let me look it up right now so I get it right. It's the best. It's so good. It's called A History of Rock Music in 500 Songs.
Okay.
Is he on a hiatus? He hasn't had one in a while.
He has some health issues, and I think that's the that's
also for kink dummies like me. Is there a definitive book?
Ray's book is pretty good. There's a biography I read back in the 90s. I'll have to look it up. I don't know about a go-to one. I've heard that Dave's book, or I think he's got books, are pretty great.
His new one seems to be, I can't believe I haven't gotten it actually.
That's true. You guys aren't personal friends, so
that's my personal business, Will. Please respect that.
I wasn't going to talk about that on the air.
Yeah.
Or my new album drops on Friday. Not talking about that.
Yeah. I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, haven't I read enough rock bios in my life? Like at some point, shouldn't I grow up and stop reading rock bios? But
well, the best one ever written was written within the last few years. So there's a whole new generation of them.
Which book is that?
Double Boys.
Oh, true.
Double Boys. Okay. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that is a good one.
It was a roller coaster ride, that's for sure.
Roller
Ups and downs.
There
There was child abuse, and it was. Well,
it's funny too, getting halfway or 2/3 of the way through the book of one of your favorite bands of all time, and like you're actually rooting against them.
Yeah,
yeah, nuts.
You spend decades going, man, nothing worked out for these poor guys. Gee, nothing. They're so unlucky. And then, halfway through this, you're like, these guys are fucking dicks. I don't know how they succeeded as much as they did.
Well, yeah, self-sabotage may have been a better title for that book.
Yeah, when we played with them back in the day, like they were mostly on good behavior, but like Tommy, for instance, was really hard to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of a maniac.
You say we, what band was that?
DT and the Shakes.
That was I'm doing a little.
Mm-hmm.
That was a great squad. But speaking of old bands, our fans have been sending me emails asking, when is Idol going to get on Spotify like a normal person?
Well, I've been doing reissues. I just did one for some guy who had a 45-song reissue come out recently.
Oh, I was going to ask, who's some guy? And then I realized it's me.
Room, guys.
Uh-huh.
That's where it happened.
Yep. I'm working with my current band, Them Sinners, and in between I try and get like reissues out. So I've got most of DT and the Shakes out. I've got one more record to go on that, and then I'm going in sequential. So I'm putting Girl Train out after that, which I've got all these things ready to go. I just got the artwork back for Girl Train from Steve Lewis, who coincidentally I'm putting an album out of Steve Lewis's in a couple of weeks on Reel to Reel.
All right, we can't get free advertising for everybody. I mean,
right?
Get it all in there. Get it all in there.
Stuff is I got the artwork from Keith in Germany. God, I got that about over a year ago.
Keith, he did the artwork for my second novel.
Yes, he did. Oh, he did. I didn't know that.
Well, crack a book open every once in a while. I mean,
I just got to read it.
Here we go.
But anyway, so Idol's coming out after that, and then and then I'll just keep going. I think most everything else is on digital, except for my new record with Them Sinners, which comes out on Friday.
Okay.
All right.
Looking forward to that.
Now, what takes so fucking long with these reissues? Why does it take years and years?
Well, when you've got friends calling you up and asking you to do their reissues, you can only physically do so many at a time.
This friend sounds handsome.
How many phone calls are we talking about, and what was the latest at night?
For me,
Uh,
is
he a late night caller? Does he call you in the middle of the night?
me?
I've talked to him on the phone
Please.
No, we talked once this year. I think we talked once around the wedding.
Mhm.
This is funny. I got a text from a mutual friend of ours the other day, the good-looking guy, and he actually, hey, this is awkward, but I kind of need to ask you something, and it might be better to do it over the phone. Is that too weird? And then we actually had a phone conversation.
Mhm.
Lasted about 3 minutes.
Hold on. The three of us have somebody that we collectively call the good-looking guy. We all know who it is when we say that.
Uh-huh.
Who is it?
Who's the best looking friend that we have in common between us?
Waddy?
Yes.
Okay. And Waddy's got syphilis? What did he call you for?
He made sure
Waddy's dying?
You heard it here first, guys.
A 3-minute conversation now. Okay.
Yeah. And luckily we got everything out, and it was it would have taken a year to do it via text.
Okay. We'll have to get him on the show.
Well, some of the fans are anxiously awaiting the Idol stuff, and the girls for everything else too. And Driver X, you going through all that?
I think that's already on there. That's already that's on the streaming services already.
Maybe how much extra stuff do you have for the last DT release?
A bunch.
Some demos.
A bunch. There's a bunch of demos. There's some live stuff. I don't know. I mean, I looking back, that last record was like a glorified EP. It wasn't a full length. It was like 35 minutes. I mean, I guess we could technically call it an LP.
And one of the songs, let's be honest, nobody would call it a song.
Here we go.
Well, I'm just saying, out of the 8 songs, one of them is more like a spoken word piece.
Oh, yeah. There was that 4-track stuff. I don't know.
I mean, on the album.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I don't have I don't get a lot of enthusiasm in revisiting those things because they were so long ago. I mean, I'll get a spark and I'll like start working on it, and then I'm halfway through it and I'm like, I really don't want to do this anymore. And one of the funny things about the pandemic, I mean, I'm very glad that I have this amazing studio with my partner, but one of the things that we were doing, or I was doing a lot during the pandemic, was it brought out a lot of reissues where like lots of people were sitting at home thinking, oh, I've got this, cardboard box full of tapes. And so we've been doing a lot of that.
Weren't we?
Yes, we were. That's why it took so long to do yours.
Now your partner is Ivan Julian, right? Yeah. So
yeah. He just released a single and his new record's coming out.
Mm-hmm. How's he doing? I know he had some health issues, but he seems to be doing better now.
doing great.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just actually walked out the door.
Oh,
when I
okay.
was coming on.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's doing great. He's got a new record coming out. He's busy here. His health seems fine.
Mhm.
Yeah, he's doing very well.
That's good to hear.
Should have let him have some extra young. He would
Yeah.
have liked it. He has good taste.
He's kind of looking suspiciously at the bag, and
But this Friday you have another song coming out with your current band.
I have an album coming out of the. We started putting out a single of the month back in 2019, and we did that through 2021. So it's a compilation of all those singles.
Nice.
Yeah.
And will there be a video? And will me and Greg be in it?
Yes.
Oh, I forgot about that.
That's the
I think it's the 10th. Was it about 10 years ago? I think it's around
I was still in Brooklyn. Yeah.
2012.
Gilly and Ronan, who were both in it. Well, Gilly wasn't. Gilly were in it. They were probably 3. So yeah, about 12, 13 years ago.
Okay. All right.
Oh, that was
I had so many great ideas for that video that didn't make the cut. I'm still pissed. I was on fire that day.
Uh-huh.
That was a fun day.
I was.
You guys were funny as hell.
That video still viewable on YouTube?
I sent it to you because I forgot you mentioned it the other day, Mike. I thought I sent it to you. Yeah.
Yeah, my kids were watching it a few months ago. Yeah, it's still there.
Mm-hmm.
That was a great day.
Yeah.
Everybody was there. I was hilarious, even though most of it didn't get on the video because I don't know who edits these fucking things, but was Ethan? Is that your bass player's name? His wife.
Oh yeah.
Was very easy on the peepers and had to sit in my lap every retake.
Yeah, I don't. Okay.
Funnily enough, the editor of that was the director of Impractical Jokers.
Is that right?
That's where you.
What was one of his jokes cutting out all my great fucking stuff? Because it ain't funny. But no, that was
War is Over is the name of this song, right?
War's done.
War's done. War's done. Sorry.
Don't rewrite the song.
It's 10 years. It's 10
Show some
years.
respect. Show some respect, Mike.
It's 10 years. The foggy
This is
memory.
our guest.
All right.
War is done.
Yeah, The Habit.
The Habit on YouTube. You can still find the video. Greg and I are in it, and many of our friends. It was a fun day.
That was a fun day.
Yeah.
It was.
All right. Well, big album on Friday.
Mm-hmm. So when does this get to Bruce?
You just hit you just hit a tripwire, bro.
Let's talk about the new record.
The new record. Okay, yeah. It's a dud.
Have you listened to the whole thing? I haven't. I can't even pretend I listened to half of but one song.
I saw him on Jimmy Fallon. He looked like he was having fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he seems to be happy not to be under the burden of writing more songs. He seems to need a break, which is fine, you know. I just wasn't expecting strings to be all over it. You know, I would have preferred a sort of grittier Stax type sound. You know, he used to do.
It just seems like everything is at 100. Like
he used to do Eddie Floyd's "Raise Your Hand." You know, I thought it'd be something in that vein. You know,
well, I thought it was peculiar when he started talking about the fact that, like, you know, I just wanted to sing, and like he let this other guy like do all the music, and it's like, dude, you're like one of the best band leaders of all time. You know, you have a band that's quite capable of pulling that stuff off.
Yeah, yeah, and you are the boss.
Let's not waste time talking about that record. I saw something the other day that blew my mind. It was, and you guys, it's a song called Thundercrack.
Yeah, that's
not a great song, but like the performance was insane. It was from like 1972. A lot of different people were in the band.
Okay,
I remember that from the outtakes box set. I don't know.
It's very kind of bandy. It was really wild. I was like, I couldn't believe it.
I like those really early shows. Yeah, I like those early shows. You know, even the shows where like the songs from Born to Run are sort of starting to form. They're not even quite done yet. but they were doing it live, you know, and those early shows are really fun to listen to. A lot of energy, yeah.
Yeah. Mike, I'm just going to be random here, and this was sure to alienate Greg, so I wanted to bring this up.
Thank
But
you.
I finally found my go-to Dead record,
Which
Oh
is
God.
American Beauty.
American Beauty. Okay.
However, the puzzling thing is, what's the other record that was released that same year?
Working Man's Dead.
I hate it.
You
I
hate it.
can't tell you how much I hate it. But I think American Beauty is.
Really? Okay. I mean, you know, there's songs on Working Man's Dead I don't like. Casey Jones is considered one of their classics, and I just could live without that song. But I like stuff on Working Man's Dead. I like Cumberland Blues. I even like Dire Wolf, and I like Black Peter. I mean, what songs really stand out is that you hate? I mean, the Pigpen songs is.
I think Pigpen is garbage.
Okay. Well, he's a deal breaker. I get it. You know,
I mean, like a balloon up on stage. You know, I thought my entry point was that Amazon bio of the Dead, which I thought was incredible.
Yeah,
it's
people who don't even like the band will watch that.
Incredible.
Yeah,
Jeff Garcia is one of the most mesmerizing dudes of all time, and I can't understand why. Like when he died, it's like, okay, everybody go away.
Yeah,
you know.
wow.
But like the last scene with him is just like,
yeah,
you know, thing with the woman, and he's just nuts. I think we're losing Greg here.
Oh.
What's he doing? I saw the head moving around.
Cleaning up the room.
I'll put candy in my mouth.
No, that
y'all were talking about the
he's eating. What is he eating?
I got a piece of chocolate.
Piece of chocolate.
Here.
I was on.
I'll fucking talk about the Dead for 5 minutes. And the second I'm like, oh, I'll use this. Y'all are, hey, what's Greg doing?
The trap.
No, all my favorite artists, I understand why people don't like them, and it generally has to do with their voices. You know, the Grateful Dead singers don't have good voices. Bruce Springsteen doesn't have a good voice. Bob Dylan doesn't have a good voice. Mick Jagger has a good rock and roll voice. So I can't really say he doesn't have a bad voice. But, you know, when people say they don't like any of those people, I'm like, yeah, I get it. You know, it's not for everybody. But the Dead, yeah, it's well, that's a breakthrough for you. I mean, what did you just put it on randomly and you're like reconsidering?
I had to learn. Oh, I know what it was. We performed at Brian and Siobhan, who were in the Habit with me, at their wedding, and we did Ripple.
Okay, that's a great song. There. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Greg was there.
A big old pig. Cut a pig, Mike. An entire pig.
Yeah. Wow, okay.
I started listening to the record. Like, damn, it's really good.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, those are the two. I'm sorry, Working Man's Dead didn't do it for you, but
sounds like the two drummers are in two different rooms listening.
Yeah, the two drummers. Yeah, is not the best.
These latest tours?
No. I mean, I saw Phil and Friends once at the Beacon Theater several years ago, and he's got the worst voice. There's no reason for him to be carrying on. He can't sing. You know, I mean, really, he's just really, you know, he's gonna milk this thing to the end, though. The other band, somebody gave me a free ticket to see the John Mayer version.
Oh yeah.
You know, I never saw any of the other incarnations of Further and all those things.
What's the Mayer thing supposed to be doing? Just recreating the Dead?
Yeah, basically he steps into Garcia's shoes. I mean, he's doing the lead guitar work. He's singing the Garcia songs better than Bob Weir can. Bob Weir tries to sing Jerry Garcia songs and it's terrible. Bob Weir's voice is gone. His voice was gone in the 80s. You know, he started over singing, and then he got obsessed with slide guitar. Damn. So you used to get these songs where he's doing slide guitar all over the place, and it's terrible. So yeah, no, I was done with the Grateful Dead by 78. You know,
Wow.
when the piano player and his wife left, that's sort of the end for me. But yeah, so I went into the John Mayer version, and I went in with zero expectations, and it was a nice sort of recreation. You know, you're not seeing the Grateful Dead; you're seeing a sort of highly tuned cover band. You know, Jerry Garcia made that band, you know, and he's gone. So
Yeah.
it's a facsimile. And Greg has no interest in the Grateful Dead, never listened to them,
No.
just zero interest.
All right. If we're done talking about the fucking dead, you know, I just, one of my favorite, my favorite earlier memories of Will is the night before he came down before the night before I left for boot camp. You're welcome, America. We, you know, I was understandably nervous about, you know, I was going to, and he says, I can't remember if we watched Stripes for the occasion or whatever. And you looked at me and said, "Don't worry, I'm sure boot camp is just like it is in Stripes." I was like, I always remember that. We're in McDonald's drive-through. You said, "Don't worry, I'm sure it's just like Stripes."
Wow.
Now you went. What arm of the service were you in?
The Air National Guard.
International. Oh, okay.
Air National.
Air National Guard.
Yeah, not the International Guard.
Oh, okay. All right.
I fought right between the wars.
Okay.
I joined the Kiss Army for the Cola Wars.
But I thought it was just, I didn't even know, I thought it was just the National Guard. I didn't know there was a separation of Air National Guard.
You calling bullshit, Mike?
No, I'm just saying this is my ignorance. You know, I mean, I'm showing a lot of ignorance during this show.
One of my favorite stories of all time is Greg's arrival at boot camp. It's
Where was boot camp, Greg?
Oh, this lovely summer home up in upstate San Antonio.
And oh, nice and hot. Yeah, okay. And you're doing miles. You're running.
I'm putting in the work.
funny. Tell the story, bro.
Which one? They
You got there early, and you figured you had some time, some downtime.
I don't know about that one, but I do remember the first night. I was early. There were only 5 of us or whatever, and we go to bed, and I'm lying there staring at the ceiling, petrified. And all of a sudden, the guy comes in, the sergeant starts screaming, and I'd been lying on top of the bed because I didn't want to unmake the bed because I thought, well, I'll outsmart hundreds of years of the military. I'll just lie on top of my bed. So I won't have to remake it in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Why has no one else thought of this? So I'm just lying there, trying not to move. And he comes in, he's just yelling normal stuff. He sees me, flips the fuck out. He didn't appreciate my brilliant idea, and flips the bed over. So I'm rolling on the floor. I just roll on the floor, under the bed, whatever. And I'm so smart that I just lie. I'm like, well, if I just pretend I'm still sleeping, they'll just move on. I just lay there. I made sure I made sure to tell myself, don't pretend you're dead, because then that'll be a whole nother thing he'll have to deal with. Just pretend you're asleep. And so he just keeps screaming at me, and I pretend to sleep, and I think he just kind of stared at me and didn't know what to do. So he's like, ah, fuck it. And he just moved on to the next guy. So I just laid there.
You played possum. You were playing possum.
Played possum, outsmarted the military.
How long was basic training?
6 weeks.
6 weeks. Okay. Yeah. And you were in the service how long?
6 weeks.
6 weeks.
No, whatever.
Well, at least you made the 6 weeks.
So the 6 years. Yeah.
6 years.
It was in the 90s. So I got in after the Iraq War and before 9/11. So right in that sweet spot.
Okay.
Where you want to be.
But you were there. You did your service.
Don't start that, Greg. You're a hero shit, Mike.
You're a hero. You're a hero in my book.
Christmas season. I would have spread joy for others.
I just wanted to tell one story because Will can verify it. I mean, I have told this story on the Best Show of one of our former employees at the law publisher. I referred to him as the Draper. There was an employee who, when he used the stall in the men's room, he would drape toilet paper over the cracks between the door and the frame. Which, if you've ever had eye contact with somebody taking a squat, it can be traumatic. I understand that, right? You don't want to make eye contact with somebody taking a squat.
How come I'm the one that was in boot camp and he's the one telling the story about shitting while looking at other dudes?
But somebody was so self-conscious about making eye contact while he was on a shitter that he would drape toilet paper over the cracks around the doors. And
you think he would just be one of those guys who would just wait till he got home to?
Well, yeah, but sometimes you can't. It's just. But here's the thing. It's one thing to do that, but clean up. He would just leave the toilet paper draped, so you'd see the evidence.
That's fucked up.
Of his handiwork, and somebody had to clean it up. I never touched it, but you'd see it like it was the remnants from a New Year's Eve party or something. It's like, what the hell happened in here? There's toilet paper all over the place. You had a theory of who it was, Will, and
you don't know who it was?
I never.
Oh.
Did
Are you making an announcement right here? Are we having a big reveal between you two?
Well, he mentioned it in a text, and I thought we'd bring it up because did you witness that particular person you mentioned doing it, or?
Okay, you're forgetting one little part about this.
Okay.
You remember boys?
You were both in the ladies' room.
Do I remember who?
Boys.
Say it again.
You remember the noise?
The noise
that came out of the stall.
No.
While the draper was in it?
It was a very bizarre noise, like an burp or something, but really, really loud. Mm-hmm. And it would go on. And this just went on day after day. And I constantly found myself in there with it. And finally, I just, life's
like
work.
A Hallmark, it's like a Hallmark movie. In the end, they're going to get together.
Made it my life's work to find out who this was, and the person extraordinarily long periods of time in there.
Mm-hmm.
So one day I just literally camped myself out.
Yeah, I would have to. Yeah,
and and I found out who it was.
Okay, so
all
right. Now, well, it's meaningless to our audience, but I know who he mentioned, and it surprised me. It surprised me because I thought it was one of my team members.
You were going to take responsibility after all these years?
I never saw anybody in there while the toilet paper was in place. I always saw the post draping. I saw after the fact that the empty stall, but the toilet paper still hanging up. I never heard the noises. I worked with a guy at a supermarket who made bizarre people make weird noises in the bathroom. It's odd to me because I'm silent. I do my thing and
you give a signal when somebody else enters the bathroom, I presume.
A signal?
Yeah, like to let them know another human in here. Oh,
well, this was a very spacious men's room.
Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Are you telling me you've never been in that men's room at the office that you spent so much time at?
I don't remember the West Group bathroom from 20 years ago. I got to say, no. I don't remember.
I could see it like it was yesterday. It was very spacious. So yeah, it wasn't like you're going to bump into people in there. But I never saw the person. I just saw the evidence. The noises thing is, I'll be haunted by that now.
Well, I think Will wants to reveal the name.
No,
there's no.
They're not going to hear this.
We don't want this to become a lawsuit. This.
Actually,
we already said Waddy's the best looking guy we know. We can't be open.
I'm actually friends with the person on a social media platform.
Actually, I think he is he's out there.
Well, I'm going to sniff this out. I'll tell you what happened to me yesterday at work. I go in the men's room and I see the handicap stall. There's like 5 stalls. I see, oh, someone's in the handicap stall. But I'm like, I know nobody in my entire office
Yeah,
is
that's not right.
handicapped.
Yeah.
And usually there's so few people in the office anyway, and there's 5 stalls. There's never possibly a reason. But I'm like, okay, I don't know. So I go to the urinal, do my thing. And I hear the guy is finishing up. And I'm like, he's not going to come out, reveal himself, being a dickhead.
No shame in his game. No
Taking
shame in
up
his game.
He comes out.
Yeah.
But so my
Your manager. Your manager.
my back is turned. I've got myself in my hand. I'm gonna slow down. Let's talk. I don't know how many ladies out there listen to this. Actually, I do. Probably not.
There's about
But
2,
certainly,
I think.
certainly not anymore. But I can see him out of the corner of my eye, and I'm like, all right, I don't want to look and see who it is. I don't want to know. Just turn, and I'm like, he's got to be scurrying out of here, embarrassed, whatever. This motherfucker breezes over to the sink, easy as you please, does his hands. I'm like, all right, I'm still holding myself at the urinal, and I'm like, why is he taking this fucking time? Finally finishes his hands, and then he does he's doing his hair, checking his, leaning in, checking his nostrils, checking it. Does this motherfucker want to get caught? And I'm still there. I refuse to look because I don't want to know. I think I have an idea, but I didn't look. I'm like, this brazen motherfucker.
So you're gonna perform a citizen's arrest
No,
right there and then.
no, I just bitched about it
Okay.
2 days later. But who would do that?
Uh-huh. I think we're in a time where people just are doing their thing, and I was on the phone today with taking care of my healthcare insurance, and this guy starts eating in the middle of our conversation. Yeah, I'm like,
I gotta tell you, Mike, to be honest, I'm on his side so far.
yeah, but and here's the thing, I don't want to get on, this guy can screw me if he wants to, the call.
What if he's listening?
Well, I was going to mention Egg Foo What at the end. I try to mention Egg Foo What whenever I can, whenever a conversation I have.
With a customer service agent?
I don't. Well,
Wow.
hey, it's some. He could spread the word, right? I mean,
Wow.
word of mouth.
I put out a few tweets, and I'm wow. I think I'm doing something. You're out on the streets.
No, yeah, I'm working the word of mouth. I'm trying for the word of mouth.
I don't do the
marketing.
Nobody wants to hear from me.
But anyway, this guy starts eating in the middle of the conversation, and I just had to let it go because if I drew attention to it, the call is being recorded. So who knows if I made an issue of it, the kid's gonna get canned. But I mean, just
What did it sound like he was eating? Was it like an apple? Was it something offensively hard?
oh, it was like a carrot or very obvious crunching.
Celery. Sounded like it was directed
Celery, yeah, celery. That was the line I was going to use on him. Are you eating a piece of celery? But I withheld. I showed some restraint because I'm thinking, well, this is being recorded. This guy can screw up my insurance.
What if he was eating Egg Foo What?
He's got some power over me here. He could get fired.
I can't believe this guy's not saying anything about
Exactly. He's like, guys, he's still going. He's picking out apples, going through muffins. He's looking at his buddies. He's like, he's still fucking listening. He's not saying a word.
He was very casual. Yeah.
But I do want to, if I ever wrote a nonfiction book, it might be about corporate bathrooms, the nonsense you see in on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Will and I worked at a place together 100 years ago, and there was a guy, somebody in there, at about the same time every afternoon, I would go in to do my business. And I don't mean at the urinal where I'm holding myself, but my post-lunch constitutional. And every day, this motherfucker would come in and brush his teeth.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, first of all, who's brushing their teeth?
Yeah.
In a public fucking restaurant.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. But I'm like, dude, after 2 or 3 days, you can go, okay, this guy's in here doing something violently awful.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'll come in the bathroom to brush my teeth either before or after, but not during. So then it got to be where I would just make a point of going then and boom, like clockwork. We were like 2 Russian ballerinas. They're doing this dance
Uh-huh.
in the men's room.
Well, I've got another chapter for your book. I mean, not only the Draper, but in the job I left the law publisher, my next job, I worked with a very quiet young fellow. Very quiet. He was actually like a classical music composer. Very interesting guy. I never got a good read on him. He was a little mysterious. But
Someone's smitten. Listen to this.
no,
Wow.
no.
I haven't heard Will talk about Gina like that.
But but one day it just tilted into the absurd, because he comes up to me all flustered. I'm sitting in my cube doing my thing. He's all flustered. I'm like, what's going on? He's like, I sat on the edge. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. I was like, what? Yeah, he said, I sat on the edge. It was wet. And I'm like, I still don't know what he's talking about. And he's like, in the bathroom. You know how some toilet seats don't quite go all the way around? And there's that like little gap in the front.
Mm-hmm.
So somehow his ass made contact with that little edge, and it was wet.
Mm-hmm.
And he went in full emergency mode. I guess the germaphobe, I guess he was a germaphobe. And he literally asked me if he should go to the hospital.
What kind of gifted life was this motherfucker living? Was he being carried around by Oprah on pillows?
Yeah, the first time he got his ass wet on a public toilet. Yeah, you're right. I mean, come on. I guess he's never gone to a gas station facility or but it was alarming. And but I did talk him down. I mean, I said, hey, just to go in there and clean yourself up. I think you'll be good. It's not necessary to go to the hospital.
I just sent him to the hospital. I just said, you did what? What happened?
I talked him off the ledge. I mean, I had that.
Pushed him off the ledge.
I talked him off.
Some idiot
off the edge.
My ass touched. What you needed to push him off the ledge.
Yeah.
Now who's the hero?
Yeah, I think I'm the hero, Greg. I've dealt with people.
Heroes.
I've dealt with people in some extreme situations, and I think I do have a calming effect on some people. You do.
You're calming. Yeah.
I try not to lose it, and yeah.
Well, actually, Mike, you and I were in a very precarious situation one time.
I was going to say, of all people I know who is calm and cool, he does have the highest point of not cool.
We were in a situation in New Orleans once where...
okay. Yeah, here we go. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's going to verify this story for me. Yeah. I have witnesses.
We were walking home from a night out in the French Quarter. Actually, I don't even think we were walking home. We were just walking through the French Quarter, following our friend who can't stay in any bar for more than 5 minutes.
Got it.
No matter how comfortable you are. And how, but anyway, Mike and I and I guess 4 friends were walking, and suddenly out of nowhere, it was like a Batman movie or something where we figures appeared in the periphery, and a gun was out, and they were holding us up. I remember I was freaking out because I had my wife's cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't with us, and it was like early days of cell phones. So all I was thinking was like, they're not taking this. Somehow they signaled you out, Mike.
Well, I think you're leaving out one
mouth.
Detail. They approached you first.
Oh, that's right.
You did like a little ducking move, right?
Well, they did. We're holding the gun like that gangster thing, and I think I'd had enough drinks that I just kind of laughed at him. Kept walking.
Yeah, no, you did a fantastic little head duck. Totally faked them out, but guess who left that behind you?
Way to go.
So you ducked the gun pointed to the head.
He ducked the gun. He ducked the bullet. What does that mean? When he ducked his head, and Guys like, well, that's it. I missed this guy.
Well, like Will said, I mean, I think I would have taken the whole. I mean, it was jarring as it was occurring.
Well, one thing that was really amazing though was that Mike's got a gun pointed at his head, and all of a sudden I'm just like, you got to give him your money, and then we'll get out of here. And Mike actually said, "I don't have any money," and everyone's like, you're out in the French Quarter.
I remember I remember one of our mutual friends saying, "Just give him the money."
Exactly,
and it's like, no, I don't have any money on me.
And then, well, the craziest thing was then I got to look at them and realize they were kids.
Yeah, they were kids.
Like maybe 13,
Yeah.
14. So that was even more disarming because, like, who would you rather have pointing a gun at you, a 13-year-old or, a 30-year-old?
I think I didn't really have time to think it through, but there was something about the fact that they were kids. It wasn't an older person. I mean, they were small too. I'm looking down at this person, and I was just like, "Huh? Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm giving money to you." and
I reward for this money.
And I have a feeling the gun probably wasn't real.
Yeah,
I think for local kids, it's a way to scare up some free cash, scare the tourists. It was during Jazz Fest. Yeah. And it's probably quite lucrative for kids. But I didn't think of any of that at the time. I was just reacting. But then the hairiest moment for me, though, then they moved on from me because I wasn't giving up the cash fast enough. And then there were a group of women with us who were like a little behind us, maybe, I don't know, 20 feet behind us.
Those were the days.
And then we're paralyzed. We're like frozen in place because they're approaching them, and we're like, "Oh, what's going to happen now? This isn't good." We sort of ducked out of it, but it's not over yet. And then they didn't do anything. So a totally mysterious event.
Yeah.
No one was hurt. Was I proud? I didn't give a penny. Yeah, I was. I was kind of happy that I didn't give up the money, despite the encouragement of everybody around me. Give them the money.
I worked too hard for my money.
And it wasn't even that much money. I think I had about $120 on me.
You should say that you had $9,000 on you that night.
No, I don't embellish. But that was another.
It was Mike Lisk. He never embellished.
Yeah.
Well, Mike and I mentioned it a couple of weeks ago. The 20-year anniversary of Reel to Reel kicking off is coming around next spring. And what are your thoughts on getting a reunion together? Getting the old crew back together. Mike has spent 20 years, it turns out. He thinks he's responsible for blowing the championship against Enids.
I heard that.
Losing my best chance at a ring. And he's
wait a second. That's what you're accusing me of.
Hold on.
I thought I had a good game.
We didn't play Enids in the final.
I know one year we did.
Or 07 or whatever.
Greg seems to remember these dates better than
Who
me.
we played? Black Betty?
Twice.
For the listeners, we're referring to the softball league. If you're not,
Mike rightfully feels guilty for losing me my one chance at a ring. So
I don't feel guilty at all.
Well, you need to rethink that.
I feel more guilty that I turned up an R to R softball in my trunk the other day.
Did you?
Yeah.
That's a sign. Now, Will, as the team owner, we need to start thinking about getting having a weekend.
Qualify that. I am married to the team owner.
Sorry to hear that, bro.
Go down that one.
Well, maybe at the next appropriations committee, you can have a discussion.
Yeah, it's funny. I still see that league going on, but I haven't been near it in quite a while.
There's no familiar faces, or
I know Mark still plays from our team from time to time. I think Matt completely.
Wow, and that's
even Oaks retired.
Yeah,
I don't even think Holling does. I don't think he does.
Oh, I know one guy who's still in it. One of the old R-Bar guys. His kid is now interning for me here. He's still playing.
Who's that?
Oh, you know who else is playing? Greg, I remember this is funny. When Gina started playing in the league the year before we started Reel to Reel, there was an older guy who was probably at the time like 38 or something or 40. He was about to start playing, and I remember Greg going, "Oh my God, this guy must be amazing."
That's right. Oh, he was on Pete's.
Kitty softball player who was just old.
Been on the yeah. We thought, oh, he's been on the circuit for years.
But went out a couple of years ago, and I called a couple of, I don't know, not many people I know are playing.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Holly was the last. Definitely from our team, and I don't even. I check into it every once in a while, and I don't see any familiar names. Whatever.
I'm trying to get JB Money reached out the other day.
Oh,
on Facebook.
That'd be a great one.
I'm trying to get him on. I'm trying to get him on the show. He was a little reluctant, though.
Well, the
Yeah.
current U.S. poet laureate used to be in our league.
Well, I was just going to bring up that. Say that again.
The current United States poet laureate was in our softball league back in the day.
It's kind of amazing, right?
It's kind of yeah.
Was she writing poems on the bench that we didn't even know what she was up to over there?
I guess so.
Yeah. That was pretty amazing.
JB Money. Oh, that would be. Oh,
and I remember, Mike, we had you convinced that the pitcher for Pete's was the lead singer of the Flaming Lips.
Hey, in those days, it could have been, right? There was a resemblance, right? Wasn't there a resemblance?
Yeah, but he had a British accent.
Oh yeah. I'm picturing the guy right now. I know exactly who you're talking about.
But that was Mike's Cy Young summer, so you couldn't really rattle him.
Sadly, he passed.
Oh, he died? Oh, well, that fucking killed the momentum here. That's yeah. If Will can get our team sorted out, and Mike, you get JB Money to come do an appearance. Oh, I will pay for JB Money's travel expenses.
JB Money, from what I understand, I've had a few conversations here and there over the years, but he's a reformed person. You know, he was like some of us, including myself, you know, a little rambunctious after some of the games. The styrofoam cups.
Thanks for taking responsibility, Mike. Thank you.
But
he's one of those guys. I haven't seen him literally in, I don't know, 15 years.
Yeah.
I didn't know him before softball.
Uh-huh.
And if I saw him right now, my face would just light up.
Yeah, he was a very funny guy. And I think the last time I saw him, I helped him with a move. He was moving out of Brooklyn. Mm-hmm. And he was moving to Jersey. And it's a funny story because, you know, we're all having a good time, you know, with this move. It wasn't too crazy, but there was a couch. We couldn't get through the door. And we're like, what's going on here? You know, it's just a standard size couch. Why can't we figure out what angle to get it through the door? We're flipping it over. We're trying different ways of angling it in. We can't get it in. We must have been there, you know, an hour trying to figure out how to get this damn couch through the door. And this older lady who lives there comes around and she says, oh, you have to take it through the other side door.
Thanks, Grandma Walton.
Yeah. Hey, it's a good thing she showed up. I mean, we would have been still there, you know. It's like nobody even thought about another door to the place. So anyway, yeah, I'm going to work on JB.
You guys should host the Reel to Reel reunion. Do it on here.
Yeah, that would be good. Sure. Yeah. That would be good. That would be fun.
We'll definitely do an episode. Absolutely. Yeah.
Because lots of people are no longer in the area. They're all over the country. Yeah, that would be fun.
I thought you were going to say a lot of them are no longer with us.
Not that I know of.
I bet you we could get a dozen people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It'll be fun. Have we covered all the bases?
Ooh, bringing it back.
Do you have a fortune cookie, Will?
No, I don't.
I'm the only one that gets fortune cookies. Greg, I don't even ask anymore. It's it's part of our logo, and yet that particular.
How come you get one every fucking time?
Because they throw them in. I don't even ask. They just throw them in. It's standard down here. But I think I'm getting repeats. It is better to light a. What the hell is this?
Oh boy.
It's better to light a small candle than to curse the darkness.
Ooh.
That's an oldie, right? I think I got this one before.
I'll think about that one for a while.
I'll tell you one of my favorite Will moments while we're tickling his belly. It's when I first moved to New York and I was living with him and Gina. One Sunday, Will knows what I'm talking about. Gina's out. Will's defrosting the freezer. And I'm sitting in the living room, bullshitting, whatever. Will's futzing around the kitchen and he goes, hey, Greg, come here. You smell something? And I come in and I take a whiff. And as I take a whiff of whatever I'm taking a whiff of, I look in the sink and he had put a big thing of chocolate ice cream out of the freezer because he's cleaning the freezer, defrosting. It's half melted. And then it hits me. He had just cut a fucking fart from hell. So the smell is hitting me as I see this half melted chocolate, half gallon in the sink, and that just, I can remember what he was wearing. Oh God, I was howling. Oh, I'm not saying that's the greatest moment.
Can we reveal Will's connection to your first book?
Oh yeah. Well, he's the.
I like how. Second.
Does Will want me to reveal it? Yes. Yeah. My book that just came out in paperback finally for the first time. It's loosely based on my time as a Manny in Brooklyn, and I was Will's Manny, the Manny to his kid, for 3 years. So if it wasn't for Will, I would not have written Williamsburg Rats, a Manny's Tour of Duty. That is Williamsburg Rats, a Manny's Tour of Duty on Amazon for $11.99, now available in paperback.
I actually found maybe you were shopping it around, I guess. And at one time it was called the Manny tapes or the Manny diaries, one or the other.
Started as the Manny tapes because I used to have a little thing on my blog whenever the kid would do something funny. I would just call it the Manny tapes.
Okay.
Whatever, but yeah. That should be a podcast when the kid is old enough to read it. He and I can take it chapter by chapter, and I'll tell him what actually happened, didn't happen.
Oh, okay. That would be interesting.
That'd be a good one.
Yeah.
So I think he's ready.
Okay.
Funny that reminds me of something Mike and I had in common that we didn't realize. You brought up earlier about the Best Show. Mike and I were both listeners to the Best Show, but didn't realize the other one was. And then all of a sudden, Mike kind of gets called up to the majors, and like I get I was quite obsessed with the Best Show back then, and that was the funny thing watching that whole thing take off. And all of a sudden, this character of Mike Lisk, who resembles this person of Mike Lisk greatly.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize you weren't. Okay, that's interesting. So, like,
I think we'd had conversations, and then you mentioned like, "Oh, I'm going to go over there and do this thing," or no, I know what it was. You guys were arguing on this is pre you,
right? Dinosaur Junior.
Yeah. And I remember listening to it, and I was howling, laughing, and completely with Tom.
That's all right.
It around during that whole thing, but it was really amazing.
Yeah, that's how I got my start. I called into the show. Actually, Tom called me out. He's like, "You've got to call in," and I called in. And
do you have a nickname?
I
AP
don't know. Was I Bayonne something or
Bayonne
other?
Mike?
Maybe.
No, it started with a P, I think.
Or was I B Buster? Was I still using the Ball Buster? Yeah, all
No.
right. Maybe I was still using from my View Askew days. I was B Buster there, so I
Nope.
kept that going. I don't know. I do tend to like finding. I do find it amusing when people get worked up on internet chats.
How did it start as an internet chat?
Yeah, it started out on the website, and then Tom saw it, and he called me out on the show, and then I made the call, and then we had that connection via the call. But yeah,
Wow.
it started as a post on the Best Show website. Yeah, who knew? All these years later, still
20 years
involved.
later, Tom found himself on Egg for What?
Yeah,
That was a great episode.
comes around, goes around. But it's been fun talking to you, Will. I don't think this is going to be the first. I like to bring Greg's people in because I want to get because you've got the details on things I'm not privy to, and I think the audience would be like to hear some more of that type of those types of stories. I knew you were in the ROTC. I mean, I'm still learning stuff. I knew you were in the ROTC. When you were in high school, Greg?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
Weren't you? I thought you were in. Maybe that's where I got it confused. I thought you were in the ROTC. You were
Hell
never in. No. Okay. All right. Well, that's where I got it confused. I heard you talking about, I guess, this service, and I thought it was ROTC. I didn't realize that you actually were in there for 2-3 years.
Still just me, Mike. Still just Greg. You don't have to be. Come on. Still just me.
Yeah, but there's certain details I want to get straight,
All right.
And I didn't.
I'm gonna peel away at this onion, bro. But if you want to, if you do want to hear me and Will talk more about our background together, there is on my album that just became available on Spotify, and they're like, thanks to Will. There's a big stretch of us talking about everything. So
Okay.
it just came out 2 days ago. My big anniversary box set of my EP.
I mean, I still have the mixtapes, but I don't think that was on the mixtapes. Where was it? Spoken word stuff?
No, this is something we recorded over the last year.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, just for this. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We'll look back.
I'll definitely check it out.
What are
And I encourage all our listeners to check that out now on Spotify. Heyday?
The Happy Scene.
Oh, the Happy Scene. Okay. Yeah, sorry. I'm screwing it up.
Yeah,
Greg was in multiple bands as well.
And
I saw him, perform. He claims I pulled the plug. I still don't believe this story. Why would I just randomly pull a plug in a bar? That's not something.
Know.
That's not something I would do.
You didn't approve the rock at the moment.
No, that's not something I would do.
You were half a Coors Light in.
Of course.
Got a little rambunctious.
Yeah.
Said, fuck this.
No, not me.
I don't remember this.
No, it didn't happen. This is a fantasy.
I remember also the electricity went out, and I thought, oh, I guess their set's over. And I went over to the side of the bar for a minute. I'm drinking a beer, and the guy's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Power up." I think, someone just unplugged it. You're back on. It's like, oh shit.
This is Charlotte, or what was the name of the place? Charleston.
So I finished my beer and then walked back and blew the roof off the place.
Charleston's still there?
Last I saw.
Wow.
I was walking down Bedford the other day, and my old apartment's gone. The whole building, the Halloween bar, everything's gone.
Wow.
That is depressing.
So the buildings are just being popped out one after another for these. Wow.
Yep. Yeah, that whole block is gone.
Wow. Okay. Can you even walk down the block? Is it just like wall to wall people? Like you can't. Really? It's that way too? Yeah.
Crowded. My dog's hanging out down there, so I've gotten back there for a little bit.
Mm-hmm. But the turkey's nest still remains?
Yes, it does.
What about Muggs? Is Muggs still there?
No, Muggs has been gone for probably about 5 years.
Really?
What it is now. Turkey's Nest, no more styrofoam cups, but and I haven't been in there in years either, but it's still there.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
Well, some institutions remain.
I think that's the only institution that remains.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, thanks guys for having me on. This has been fun.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, Will.
Thanks for joining
Croxton,
us.
check out his music. We'll be sending links and all that in the upcoming days. I like to help out my friends and encourage people to check out their music.
Appreciate it.
Always. Greg,
Cool.
any final words?
Nope, just
No.
buy all the stuff I'm trying to sell. That's all.
Sometimes I feel like, wait a second, I started this podcast, but why do I feel like I'm just marketing Greg's stuff
It's just
nonstop?
just Greg Wilson's virtual bullshit marketplace.
It's like, did I get played? All of a sudden, you know, he agreed to do this podcast just so I can market his stuff. You
Just
know,
so I can push my shit out there.
always happy to push your shit for you, Greg. No problem.
Thanks, buddy.
All right. I want to thank everybody for listening. Hit
Thanks,
that
Will.
subscribe button. You know, our subscribers is sort of down. Let's pick it up, guys.
Whoa, Mike.
But I see these other YouTubers, right? Maybe you see this. I have this fascination with these audio files.
I like women.
Do you ever watch any of these audiophile YouTube channels? And it's basically them holding up records they just bought. That's the whole thing. I love this record. This is
That's
Bad
the whole
Company's.
internet.
This person's got 20,000 subscribers. You know, God bless her. It's a woman. You know, she's like the only woman in this audiophile world. It's a bunch of older nerd guys, but she's out there telling you what records she bought every week. That's it. That's the show. She's got 20,000 subscribers.
So come on, people.
What the hell's going on with Egg Foo? What? We got to pick up the numbers.
Pick it up, number. Mike wants the numbers up, people.
Get those numbers up, people.
Mike wants to lock it down. Let's get the numbers up.
Lock it down. All right, guys. Thanks
All
for
right.
joining me.
All right. Take care.
Bye.